As I wrote in my book, Carol's Lives, I met my life partner Tim at a jazz festival back in 2007. Jazz music plays an important role in our lives, and we were very happy to finally visit the birthplace of jazz, New Orleans. Jazz is to be found everywhere here, from Frenchman Street to neighborhood festivals to the clubs in French Quarter. We were fortunate to experience different forms of live jazz almost every day we were there. Greetings from Nola. I'm sitting right now on the rooftop bar of a hotel here in Garden District. A few weeks ago, I attended an online roundtable meeting of ARCH, my association, which is Association of Registered Clinical Hypnotherapists. It's an opportunity for us hypnotherapists to get together, ask and answer questions, to form certain treatment plans, and to bounce ideas. So I attended that online meeting as one of the mentors. One newly certified hypnotherapist asked a question about a client of hers asked her to work on the IBS issues, Irritable Bowel Syndrome. And this newly certified hypnotherapist said, after she asked a question, she mentioned that I suppose it's like a chicken-egg scenario, but where did it start? Is it because of the diarrhea that caused the anxiety, or is it anxiety that caused the diarrhea? How do you work with that? So during the meeting, there were other mentors. They chimed in and they offered their perspective, their systematic approach. Due to the time constraint, I didn't get to share my perspective. So this video is my share of the answer. The short answer to that question is, where do we start? Diarrhea, anxiety. It really doesn't matter. You have already mentioned in our meeting that they seem to reinforce each other, diarrhea and anxiety and diarrhea. It's almost like it forms a self-reinforcement loop. It goes diarrhea, anxiety, anxiety, diarrhea. Since it's a loop, it really doesn't matter where to start. We can just start anywhere. It's a pattern that reinforces itself. So it's a pattern, and we don't have to go to the source or the cause of it. We just cut anywhere, stop anywhere, the pattern stops. So that's a short answer. But of course, as a hypnotherapist, working on the diarrhea part is probably not our specialty. Therefore, I do suggest us starting from the anxiety part. I'm visiting today this beautiful sculpture park in City Park in New Orleans. It's a huge park, the City Park, like Central Park in New York. And luckily, one of my past clients is a naturopath doctor. She responded very well to hypnotherapy. That's how she became a believer. In her own work, she has discovered that a lot of people, a lot of her patients with IBS, they have stress and anxiety issues. And that's how she actually referred a lot of her own clients, her own patients to me, as she would say she's not very specialized in stress and anxiety part of the work. And in IBS cases, we do notice the mind-body connection. That means something is already working. The connection itself is just IBS people, they use that beautiful, amazing connection working against them rather than for them. But regardless, we notice the connection, and so we can start to turn the connection to work for us rather than against us. In our hypnotherapy session, don't we say that gut is our second brain, or when we have an intuitive moment, we say there's a gut feeling. Therefore, gut always responds to our mind all the time, and that's a very good thing. Maybe sometimes people do need to experience IBS to know that gut is our gut is connected to and likes to respond to our mind. So in the first hypnotherapy session, we strengthen the connection in a calmly and peacefully relaxed way to let the connection start to work for us rather than against us. After we strengthen the mind-body connection, depending on the history and the situation of your client, maybe we can do some regression to the first time that the syndrome started. For example, was there a trauma that they couldn't digest? Was there a fear that was so severe that they had to hold it in, to hold it on? Was there living environment was so making them so unsafe that their sensitivity always had to be on guard? So we discover how it was originated, the first time how they started. Then we clear up the past, and then we can look at the living situation of your clients today. Are there still some triggers that trigger the same body response? It's a good thing that the body doesn't lie. It always responds to our mind, and our mind generates emotions. Therefore, from this IBS, we can trace back the body response, back to the emotional state, back to the thought process, and back to the living situation. So that's how it works, so that we can create a different response from the body through thinking and emoting management, so that we create a different future, a different way for the body to train the body to respond it differently. Now you may have noticed that I travel a lot. Right now I'm sitting in a beautiful neighborhood. In this house, it's over 100 years old, a typical shotgun house in New Orleans. It's in a neighborhood of mid-city. For my own body, I noticed the long airport ride, the long flights and airport waits. My body is not fooled. Sometimes in an airport lounge, I would take my body to the bathroom and have a chat with my body, say, hey, we have a lot of time, it's a relaxing place, just do the job. And sometimes the body does it, and sometimes it doesn't. And when I get home, when I return my home, all the time, miraculously, the body relaxes. I don't even have to have a chat with the body. It just, everything goes very well. To the point, I start to tell my partner, my body recognizes home. And he would know exactly what I mean. So over the time, no matter where we are in the world, and when we know our body is happy, our bowel is happy, we use this euphemism, my body recognizes home. Okay, maybe that's too much of information. As the Arch member also mentioned, as the loop continues, she noticed the anxiety is pointed to the fear of the next accident. So now we're dealing with the anticipatory anxiety. It's not an accident itself, but it's a future accident. This mind's tendency to control what's not in front of us, that's what's not even here. It's in that case, we can train the mind not to make it a big deal. When the mind makes a big deal, to the degree that the mind perceives that we cannot handle it, and start to get anxious about some accident that hasn't happened, and therefore we cannot do anything about it. It's actually letting the mind know that it's easier for us to deal with the accidents when it happens. Just deal with it, not a big deal, rather than making a big deal in our mind and getting ourselves fearful. So this is a bit of a retraining the mind as we do clean out the past and learn the future, strengthen the connection with the body and the mind, and train the mind to not make it big deal about future. It is just much easier to deal with the accident than the accident that's not here. We cannot eat the meal that's not in front of us. So we can actually practically do some measure, set some measure in place, what can happen, and then simply enjoy life.